Passing yards yesterday, 410 total passing yards, 273 yards on the ground. That's a total of 683 yards of offense yesterday. Chris, 9.5 yards per play. They also had 30 first downs. Here's what's crazy: third down efficiency, they were only 3 of 10. Fourth down efficiency, 2 of 2. So 50% if you combine the two. Time of possession was 34 minutes and 36 seconds. And for a second straight week, no turnovers. What's your offensive grade?
I got to go with an A, Eric. I mean, they look good. Will Howard came out and completed his first 8 or 9 in a row, coming off of finishing out, I think, his last 5 in a row last week. He looks like he's starting to get a rhythm with this offense. Both running backs, in fact, all three running backs look good. I mean, you look at it, we had three running backs. One had 9 and two more had 10 on the carries. All of them scored. I mean, wide receivers, they were getting the ball around to wide receivers, to tight ends. I mean, it was a clinic on how to play offense. Um, I got to go with an A.
Yeah, I'm A as well. I mean, you saw 12 different guys catch footballs in this one. You saw 6 rushing touchdowns, which, by the way, if you want some fun, go check how many rushing touchdowns Tony Alford's guys have up north. I'll give you a hint. It is 0 to the 7 that Carlos Laughlin's running backs have right now, which is absolutely hilarious to think about, but I digress. I mean, just absolute dominance on the offensive end of the field. The only time that they were stopped was when they stopped themselves.
Yes.
Will Howard stopped themselves by having a couple underthrown balls here and there. And let's be honest, like in Chip Kelly's offense, it is imperative that you have somebody who makes very good decisions, and that is what Will Howard is doing. I had somebody on the Voice of College Football show that I was doing last night talking about how he doesn't see any difference between Kyle McCord and Will Howard, and I just think you're nuts if you hold that belief, because not only is Will Howard more mobile in the pocket, not only does he evade the rush better, but he also is a far better decision maker. He also brings a threat to the game with his legs and his ability to run. Nobody would respect Kyle McCord's ability to run, and so if he was out there, he would be having to throw it every single time. With the RPO system that Chip Kelly runs, you have a run pass option. It really should be called an RPOR because you have a run pass option with a quarterback run as well, because if that quarterback has the ball in his hands, he's dangerous and you don't know if he could do anything with it too. So we saw that a couple times. The touchdown pass to Jeremiah Smith, the guys bit on the screen there and Jeremiah Smith ran the slant. We also saw it with an Emeka Ibuka catch on the outside where Will Howard was running with the ball and the corners ran up thinking Will Howard was going to run. Nope, he's going to flip it to Emeka Ibuka, which, by the way, if you go back and watch that play, watch Bryson Rodgers blocking
Yes.
downfield. Excellent, excellent job by Bryson Rodgers. That's what's going to get him on the field at some point, and in the much bigger, teams and stuff like that. He's not just going to be a guy who's coming in at the end of the game. If he blocks like that and gives that kind of effort, I do believe that Chip Kelly is gonna reward that. So, I mean, overall, if I could go higher, I guess A plus. If I could go higher, I would. But I loved it. I thought this was exactly what we wanted to see coming off the week one.
You could go A plus, absolutely.
Sure, A plus.
Yeah,
All
the only
right.
reason I didn't was because of a few penalties.
There were some penalties, and I went A minus, and the reason being for my letter grade is you mentioned it, Chris. There were some penalties, but there was that one third down, and I don't know if it's necessarily the team's fault, but it was the little out pass to the tight end on third and short, and we got stopped.
The one to
That was
Kazmarek, yeah, that was
after
terrible.
we were literally running the ball down their throat that drive. You hand the ball off in that instance, right?
Chip got too cute. That's all it was.
Well, I don't mind it because 4th and 1, look what he did with the Julian Saint touchdown pass,
Yeah,
right? So I don't mind that.
and that was
I would,
awesome, by the way, because they finally let him throw the ball when they brought in the backups.
yeah. So I went A minus. I was a little bit harder of a grader than you guys were on offense. But let's move it over to the defensive side of the ball, where we have 71 yards passing allowed, only 28 yards rushing for a total of 99 yards in the entire game. That was 2.1 yards per play, only 6 first downs allowed all game long, and I believe two or three of those came on one drive.
Yes.
They were 3 of 15 on third down. The Broncos didn't even attempt a fourth down attempt. They were only on the field for 25 minutes and 24 seconds. They did not create a turnover this week. However, there was a lot of basically just turnover on downs, you could just about say, because of how fast they were getting off the field on third down. So that being said, Chris, what was your defensive letter grade?
I went A again here. Now everything should have pointed to A plus, but again, I mean, the fact they gave up less than 100 yards of offense, the fact that they, went out there and I mean they were dominant. They pitched the shutout, but we still had some stupid mistakes. And with that, I'm going to point to specifically the play where we could have had either Denzel Burke, who was thrown out, or Caleb Downs thrown out because both of those guys led with to drop their helmet when they went for that tackle. And then on that first drive, we had the same thing with, oh, help me out. Who was it? I messaged you right when it happened, Derek. We had somebody that did it that I thought we were going to get targeting on that one.
Jordan Hancock?
Jordan Hancock, thank you. Guys, that is I mean, I understand being aggressive. That's discipline. You can't drop your helmet. And we nearly had it 3 times in that game. Not to mention the fact that we had a couple of pass interference calls with Iggy, who was. I appreciate the aggressiveness, but he was getting a little too handsy at times. So the penalties is what kept me from an A plus on the defense.
Yeah, I mean it's hard not to give an A plus when you have a shutout. I agree. I have to go with an A just because I do think there were a few things that could be cleaned up here and there. I mean I'm not as upset with the dropping of the head stuff just because some of those they probably wouldn't have had an issue with possible targeting if the running backs and the receivers were not dropping their head as well. There needs to be some kind of punishment for these offensive players that are dropping their head and using their head as a battering ram against the defenders, because these defenders are trying to do the right thing and trying to put their head to the side or something like that. But when somebody else is dropping their head and hitting you, it's like free yards for them, right? I mean, you get the penalty on them, you have helmet-to-helmet contact, and you're immediately going to get something looked at, and you might get lucky and get some free yards.
But it's coming. So
right. So I'm not saying that this is an excuse or anything like that. I'm just saying, I hope at some point they will also take a look at these offensive players and what they're doing, because not only is it dangerous to them, but it's dangerous to the defensive players as well. Other than that, I mean, we got really good pressure on the quarterback. Jack Sawyer got his sack in this one. Felt like the quarterback hardly had any time to throw, and when he did have time to throw, he had nowhere to throw it to. I felt like the linebackers are really solidifying themselves as no problem at all on this team. CJ Hicks does seem to be going down the depth chart a little bit just because he is kind of a blitzer kind of guy, and that's all he really seems to be, which I think is unfortunate. But I love the emergence of Arvell Reese. I love that Cody Simon is back. Sonny Styles, he looks like somebody who is ready to be that linebacker right away. Doesn't look like he learned the position in the offseason at all. Seems like he's really taken hold of it. So like Chris, I will give an A, but very close to an A plus with the shutout.
All right, I will give an A plus because it makes me look good, and here's why. I said we would have 8 games where we would not give up a touchdown this season. That's game number 2. We're 2 for 2. That's 8 quarters without giving up a TD, and this one was a shutout. Give me an A plus. I know we didn't get a turnover. We didn't cause a turnover, but it's hard to cause a turnover when you're going 3 and out so much. I mean, it's as good as a turnover just about, right? I'm a stickler for saying in third and long situations, throw it deep. What's the worst that can happen? You throw an interception, it's as good as a punt, and you
Yeah,
might get a pass interference.
exactly.
So, so if you're preventing that from happening, it's almost like you're getting a turnover in a lot of ways. So even though it's not in the TO category, I think the defense looks championship level already. I understand it's been Akron and Western Michigan, but I watched that Western Michigan team go up and down the field on
They went toe
Wisconsin.
to toe with Wisconsin. That's right.
And they were missing a couple key guys. I understand that. This team has not been tested by a big team. They will be tested. 5 of the last 9 games on the schedule. You ready for this? Iowa. Pretty good.
Although they struggled with Iowa State.
Well,
Good
Kirk
defense.
Ferentz came back and coached.
That's right. That's right.
The Ferentz family is holding Iowa back.
Yes.
I've been preaching it for years. I don't know why Iowa doesn't listen to this fat Buckeye. They think they hold him up in esteem, and I have no idea why. He's not good.
They
Anyways,
just like having coaches that are there forever.
apparently, they play Iowa, Nebraska, Oregon, Penn State, and that team up north. All 5 are going to be top 25 teams. Iowa might slip out, but they're going to be back in. Don't you worry. 5 top 25 teams in the last 9 games of the regular season.
And can I say, as we enter week 3, Nebraska scares me more than any other team on the schedule.
Agree. I actually agree with you on that comment. There's a very good chance that Nebraska, when it's all said and done, might be the team we thought Oregon was.
And USC actually has looked pretty decent as well.
And they're not on the schedule this year, so if we do play
Thank
USC,
God.
it's
It'll
because
be in the
it'll be in Indy, and they will have also the second best record. So
I might be a little bit more concerned with Penn State just because it's at Penn State. I understand it's James Franklin and all that stuff that goes with it, but it is at Penn State. That's a tough road game to go.
but again,
And I mean, Nebraska,
they are
like
those-
as good as they are, Dylan Raiola is still a freshman, guys. Like, we really think a freshman is going to go against this secondary, against this pass rush, and carve things up? I don't think so. I think Nebraska's a really good team, and I think
I
Matt
didn't
Rule's
say
a really
he
good
would
coach.
carve up this defense, but he
Penn
might be
State-
one of the better quarterbacks we face.
Didn't Penn State have to go blow for blow with Bowling Green this weekend?
But here's the thing. Happy Valley at noon is not Happy Valley under the
Valley
lights.
at night. That's right.
And if this is going to be a big noon kickoff, it's advantage Ohio State.
Advantage Buckeyes, and it will be.
If this becomes a whiteout for some reason, whole different world we're talking about, right? So there you have it. That is our report card. To reiterate, on offense, JR and Chris both gave an A. I was an A minus. On defense, JR and Chris both gave an A. I was an A plus. Did I convince you to go A plus on offense, JR? I can't remember.
No.
Yeah, I think I went A plus on offense.
I think you did. I stand
Okay.
corrected. There we go.
Well, you guys are both wrong then.
Got it. Okay, hot shot, hot dog. All right, let's move on.